Hi, welcome to Spiritual Connection. I'm your host, Carla Augustyn. I am an energy healer, I am a transformation coach, I'm a shamanic practitioner, and a spiritual leader. I'm happy to have you joining us today on Spiritual Connection. And you know, connection is a big part of my life. It shows up in many ways. And that's really the intention of our show, is to connect with each other as well as more fully connect with our own spiritual natures. So I'm really happy that you're here with us today. And my special guest today is Carla Augustyn. Welcome to the show, Carla.
Hi, Katie. Thank you, and congratulations.
Yes, well, Carla was my inspiration for this show. When she has had a TV show in Brantford, cable TV, for many years, and about a year ago, she interviewed me for her show, and we got to talking, and we have a lot in common, as you'll find out as the show goes on, in terms of spiritual interest, and she really inspired me to start the show of my own.
That's so sweet of you to say. It really is.
It's so true.
That feels good, and it inspires me to keep going.
That's great, yeah. It took me about a year to get it off the ground.
Okay, you're here.
But yes, we're here. And it doesn't sound like a coincidence that we have the same last name,
no.
and it's not. We're actually married to two brothers.
Yes.
Two of the Augustyn brothers of the three. Yes, and the other thing is, you know, technically, Carla's my guest today, but technically I'm her guest because we're filming in her studio in Brantford.
Worked out great.
Yeah. So, again, welcome, Carla.
Thank you, Katie.
Yeah, I'm really
it's a pleasure to be here.
And the other thing is that it turns out that Carla and I have so much to talk about that we're not going to be able to do it in just 1.5 hour episode. So this is part one you're watching right now, and part two will follow. So I really encourage you to watch both episodes. You'll learn a lot.
That'll be great. Thank you.
Yeah, great. So now,
I'm excited.
Me too. So why don't you start by telling us, like, what does it mean to you to be spiritual?
To me, to be spiritual is to recognize and be conscious that we are spiritual beings. And so we are, as human beings, we are physical beings, we have a body, and we're thinking beings, you know, we have our thoughts, mental beings, and we're emotional beings, we have our feelings, and we're also spiritual beings. So we have this unique essence about us, that's our spirit. And I think it's a reflection of our soul. And when we're conscious that we're spiritual beings, then I think that's when we're spiritual. And we usually do something to kind of nurture that. And that's when we say we're on a spiritual path or a spiritual journey, is that we recognize we're spiritual beings, and we want to nurture that and get to know that piece of ourselves better.
Yeah, okay, I see what you mean, because we're all spiritual anyway.
Right.
But because it is part of who we are.
It's who we are.
As you say, but we may not be consciously spiritual. Is that?
Yeah, I think being spiritual is recognizing that exists, that's that piece of it, and wanting to nurture it. It's no different than if we really get into taking care of our bodies and exercising, eating well, or being mindful of our thoughts, or watching over our feelings, but also then taking that piece of us that's spiritual and saying, I want to know myself even better. I want to know that unique essence that makes me me. And that's a reflection of my soul, and I want to connect to that. So I think being spiritual is you take that further.
Yeah. So how did that work for you? When did you start becoming consciously aware of it?
I would say I became very consciously spiritual over 20 years ago. But looking back on it, I was definitely spiritual as a kid, because as 6, 7 years old, I was just so intrigued with who God is. And I was in my early grade years, I was in Catholic school, and so the nuns would talk about the soul. And I was fascinated with this, like, what is this soul that you can't see, only God can see? And I tried to imagine what it would look like, and I wanted to see my soul, which is really funny because the spiritual journey is about seeing your soul and finding your soul, and being a teacher is about helping others look at their own souls. So I did that, and I also had a unique voice that would speak to me and guide me and take care of me. And so, you know, and then I would say as I got older, teenage years and maybe in my early 20s, maybe it got a little dormant for a while. And then in my late 20s, I just started getting into different metaphysical subjects. It was my dabble phase, I call it. So 35 years ago, I was taking Tai Chi, and then I was off doing something else, and I was off doing something else. And then I kind of got grounded a little over 20 years ago when I became more conscious. I'm going on this journey.
Oh, okay. So you were an early adopter, as they say. You know, before most of us were into such things, you were discovering it on your own, basically.
Oh, yeah,
So you didn't have a mentor or anybody?
No, I was just interested on my own. I didn't have a mentor, no, to come to think of it. I was just into it on my own. And there was nobody in my family that was into it. I mean, I just kept it to myself as a kid, or, you know, and I didn't know. I think the universe just plants those seeds for us. I didn't know what I was doing, say, when I was in my late 20s and into my 30s in terms of exploring, but that's what I was doing. I was exploring and, you know, I was looking into organic and natural cosmetics and, you know, all different kinds of things.
So it really sparked your interest. In a way, it was a precursor.
It was.
To becoming more consciously spiritual.
Right.
Was there one particular thing that shifted to cause that?
Yes.
Really?
huge shift. Yes, I was 40, and we had just, you know, we moved into our dream home, and I love my husband and my kids, and I love being a wife and a mother, and I had this fantastic life. And then, but I wasn't happy, and I didn't understand it. And I looked at my life, and I thought, now this is a happy life, and I thought it was a wonderful life.
Well,
and I was glad I was glad it was my life. I mean, and inside, I was glad it was my life. I liked being a wife and a mother, and I liked doing what I was doing, but I didn't realize it was a sense of not being fulfilled, and in a different way that it's not possible for my husband and my children to give me. And so I didn't tell anybody because I thought, well, it seems silly. Why wouldn't Carla love her life? I did love my life, and I wasn't sad and I wasn't depressed. I just knew something was missing, and I had to be honest with myself. I just wasn't really happy. And so I just started to pray. I'm a prayer, and I just started to pray about it. Like, help me get happy. I don't know how to do that, and that's what we need to do, is to open up to that and open up to the guidance. And then one thing led to another, and I all of a sudden just found myself in therapy, and you know, just started dealing with things and childhood issues, and then realized I had a lot of fears, and that was preventing me, I think, from being out in the world and trying to demand that I go find my place. You know, so I found it curious that I was, you know, I supported wholeheartedly my husband and my children in their journeys and achieving their dreams and going for what they wanted in life. And then when I sat back, I realized, but you're not doing that for yourself. And that's when I'm like, well, I'm going to get out there. I'm going to find what I really love to do. And I never really had. I was formerly a social worker. I liked it. I didn't love it. And I thought, I don't want to leave this planet without finding something other than my family that I love to do. And so that's when I set about.
Wow, that's amazing, because, you know, that takes a lot of courage.
It does.
You know?
It does. And it's why
Yeah.
I like to encourage other people who are setting out on their own journeys, because I do understand. And like I said, I came from a place of fear. So it was a lot for me to step out. And I like to encourage other people, like, it's okay to take baby steps. You can jump off the deep end if you want. That's wonderful. But if you're like me and you had to take the little baby steps, that's okay too. Yeah.
Wow. Well, I really commend you for that.
Thank you.
And it sounds like it started with an inner journey. The way you described it a little bit, you found out more about yourself.
Definitely.
And what moves you, what inspires
Definitely.
you.
And what needed to be healed, and what needed, understanding why I was the way I was. I mean, I don't think any of us are naturally fearful, but fear develops over time. Right. And so we're all given, it's our journey on the earth. I mean, we're all given different backgrounds, and we're meant to experience different things, and then we're meant to heal them. And that's, that's what I needed to set out to do, is to heal that. And then once I worked on that, then start stepping out and finding what do I love?
I think that would resonate with a lot of people. I can totally relate to that, and the fact that we are here to learn something.
I think so.
In this life, and whatever lessons are offered to us, and it sounds like
so. Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think we just don't show up for no reason at all. I think there's definitely reasons why we're here and different things we're supposed to accomplish.
Yeah, so that led you to the life that you're doing right now.
Which I love. And I am happy.
It's
the same life. Yeah, it's the same life, same house, same kids, same husband. Everything's the same as 20 years ago, but I'm just much more in doing what I need
Right,
to
but you're
do.
different in a way.
So I am different. I mean, and are we, then it's the age-old spiritual question, are you different, or are you just more of yourself? And I think that's what gets uncovered.
Yes.
When you
peel back the layers.
You start peeling back the layers, and then you become really
who you really are.
Who you really are.
Yeah. Well, I guess I've known you for 20, well, let's see, I've been married to your brother-in-law for 30.
I was going to say
32 years.
Yes.
Right.
So I knew you before when you were dating.
Yeah. So probably 35 years.
Yeah. I
know.
So
I can definitely see the shift.
There's a shift.
Yeah, but you know what? The thing is, it was gradual. And you are still you, like you said. You haven't changed. The essence of you is still there.
It's still there.
But the filters aren't there anymore.
Which is so wonderful. That's what's so wonderful about, being spiritual.
I think it's amazing that it evolves. It's not like you plan something and you have to have certain things, check this, check that, check this. It
can
like
just
that.
evolve, and that's what I love about the journey, is that there are no rules. There's no rules to being spiritual, and there's no markers, and there's no comparing you to me and us to somebody else. It's just your own journey. So, you take it at the pace that you want to take it, and you do what you need to do, and it's not, it's not a judgy thing.
No, and it's very personal and individual. Because now I have met many people, doing what I'm doing, as I'm sure you have.
Yes.
And everyone is different.
It's so amazing.
And, one thing that I want to share with people is what's available. What types of things can be available to you to take advantage of, and you're here to share your journey. And what would you kind of suggest? Like for other people,
what to do?
Yeah, like where would you start if you? And it's interesting because my moment was very similar to yours when I said something's missing in my life and I don't know what it is. Okay, so very similar. Okay. So what would you say to somebody if that happened to them? If they said, I'm really happy, not everything's perfect, but what something's missing? What would you?
And I would say go find it. I mean, I think that's why, one of the reasons why we're here. And to definitely go find that, find that piece that's missing. We're meant to be fulfilled and we're meant to feel at peace. Right. So if we're not feeling that, then to go for that and to, try to find that missing piece. And it's probably that connection to yourself. And to just go for it. I would definitely encourage people. And if they're watching this show and all your shows, if it speaks to you, then it's something speaking to you, and pay attention to that, because those are our clues when the universe wants to tell us something. It makes a stirring where, well, I can't quite ignore it. There's something maybe a little bit missing, and it's like, but I have such a good life. It's like, yeah, I know you do, but if there's a stirring, you don't have to give up that life. But if there's a stirring, maybe there's even greater life for you, and that's what I think the higher power wants for us, is to have greater life, and to find that.
Yeah, that's a really good point. So that's something that perhaps we need to pay attention to.
For sure.
Not ignore, not say, well, I'm not really, this is not for me, or just check it out, kind of, right?
Yeah, be open to it,
Be open.
Because you don't have to, you don't have to stick with anything. I always think of spirituality as like this huge buffet table. Like you can just go, you can just check it out. I don't know, are you into yoga or aren't you? Are you into praying or not? Are you into meditation or not? And you can just, it's fun being on the journey, because you can kind of just go up and put something on your plate and decide, nah, it's not for me, and then put it back, and then you can just go on to something else. And that's what makes it so much fun. You could be really into one author, and then all of a sudden you outgrow that author, and then you move on to something else. So it's just always moving.
That's true.
A lot of fun.
Yeah, because I don't know about you, but it seems like almost every day or every week, it's like I find something new that I'm interested in. It's wow.
You just keep moving. And it's really, you'll never get bored.
It's never ending.
It's never ending. And, so many people in our age group, are talking about retiring. It's like, but I'll never retire from this. I mean, I'll never leave this. This is what I love about it, is that it'll just keep moving and keep growing.
Yeah. So just to backtrack a little bit, so when you became consciously spiritual and started doing all of the things that you've been doing, how did that affect other people in your life?
Yeah.
Like your family, your friends.
Right. And, I've had students come to me, and it greatly affects their relationship with other people because nobody's understanding, hey, what's the shift? But me personally, I found that my friends and family were just extremely, and continue to be extremely supportive.
Oh, that's great.
And so that part of it was really nice. Close friends really encouraged me to keep going and praised me and, celebrated, what I was doing. And I think it can be, rightly so, a little confusing sometimes to people that are around you, but nobody said anything.
Well, I was wondering that.
Nobody said anything. But people notice. I mean, it was funny because my husband, for the longest time when I started teaching, I mean, for years, he would say to me, just randomly, he would look at me and he would just say, I cannot believe you stand in front of people and speak. He was baffled by it because it was so not me.
It was a shift for you.
I'm so behind the scenes and, so quiet and so introverted. And so he was just but that felt really good that he said that. So I would say people were really very, very supportive.
Yeah, well, I'm sure he's very proud of you, and it was his way of complimenting you.
Yes, it was.
So, the thing is, it seems to me that when we evolve and change, that others around us do. Even though we don't consciously, make that happen, it's more of just a natural thing.
Well, this is my passion, right?
Yeah.
So what am I going to talk about? I'm going to talk about my day, so I'm going to talk about this. So I've found that people around me have become more open to some of the topics. And, John and I, my husband, we'll have a lot of conversations. And my kids, and their significant others. Now I have a daughter-in-law, and they're open to it, and so that's been kind of fun.
That's
and
gratifying.
It is, and even having friends that are like, I don't fully get it, but I'm supporting you, and then seeing that expansion of just being open to things has been interesting. And then I have friends that are completely closed off to it, and that's okay.
Right.
I'm not going to push myself onto people, if they're not comfortable talking about things. That's all right too.
Yeah, no, definitely. Do you get the sense that in general things are shifting in the world? Like there's more light, there's more people that are interested? And
I think so. I think, I remember when I just, maybe 10, 12 years ago first started teaching, I was the only one in the adult ed program that was teaching a subject like this. I know everybody. I mean, it's wonderful. I mean, there's a big mind, body, spirit programs, and when I first went out to take a Reiki class, I had to travel far to find Reiki. It wasn't along in the shoreline in my area. So I think that people are shifting. I think people want to know themselves and want to feel at peace and want to, I don't know, I just think they're just being more open to it. Yeah, being more open.
I get that sense too. There's more awareness that, it's almost as though it takes some negative things in the world to happen to where people go, well, how can we, do better, or how can
I be better?
How can I be better? How can, what's my role in the situation, the evolution of the planet, if you will?
I think so. And I think that happens. I know on my own journey, just trying to improve myself, in terms of you can see where you do on a small level affect someone. So if you're standing in line checking out and you're crabby and then you snap and you know what I mean, you're affecting somebody's energy. But if you if you sense somebody else is in a mood, and then you are nice to them and smile and send out a different energy, you can maybe see a little bit of a shift in them. And so just watching my own behavior, I think, and being very mindful of it and always trying to improve. I mean, we're human beings, so I have my very crappy days. So I mean, it does happen. I mean, right?
We're not
we have our
perfect.
emotions.
Yeah.
I mean, we have our emotions, which are wonderful telltale that something's up.
Yeah.
But we do have our emotions, and so always trying to improve in that way. So.
Well, that, I asked you earlier about what suggestion you would have for someone who wants to get more into it, and maybe that's another one is just look at yourself and how you affect other people and what can you do?
Right.
And one thing that's worked for me, and I learned this through my coaching training, is to always look for the good in someone else, because it's there.
It's there. Yeah, it always is.
Sometimes,
that's because their soul is there,
yes,
right?
Yeah, well,
they're there.
We're all perfect the way we are, right?
Right.
The way we were
right, the way we were brought to, and that is true.
Yeah.
And I think, don't you think that's what unconditional love is really, and why people that we do unconditionally love, we're able. I mean, if your child is having a temper tantrum, you see beyond that. I mean, you know what is. Sweet child, you know their essence, and so you love them, and that's I think can be a goal to see past that.
Yes, and then come from that place.
Try to come from that place, right? Not take offense so fast,
Right.
I'm working on that. Don't take offense, just. This person, you don't know what's going on in this person's life, right? So don't take offense.
I know. It's funny because I remind myself sometimes, well, it's really not about me.
No.
Whatever's going on with them,
going on, right.
It's not about me.
Yeah.
So you can't take offense.
Right.
Because they don't mean it.
They don't mean it. Just step back, and I find myself just, send them blessings, send them positive energy, send them angels, and just, help this person. Not in any sort of condescending way. Just,
Right.
I wish people would do that for me if they see me,
Sure.
and kind of distraught or something.
We could all use a little more love and
Yeah, a little bit
spiritual
more.
light. Right, because it's not about fixing someone. It's
No,
just
no,
about
right.
offering that.
Exactly.
Well, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, that's great, Carla. And, we're going to talk a lot more on part 2
Yeah.
about all the things that you've created and what you're up to. And
I can't wait.
yeah, so I'm looking forward to that as well. And, and it's really been great having you today.
Thank you so much, really. It's my
Yeah,
honor.
It's been fun talking to you.
Thank you.
And we're going to have your contact info up on the screen.
Okay.
And, Carla's available for spiritual teachings, classes, workshops all over. Clearly,
That's
not
true.
just, even though she does live in Guilford, but she's available. She has a wonderful newsletter
Thank you.
and website and Facebook page.
Yes.
And you can watch all of her. How many shows have you recorded now with Brave?
I've done
Heart?
58 interview shows.
Wow.
Yeah, and then I'm doing these little mini segments, and I've done about 8 of those so far.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, we
so-
will talk more about that in part 2.
Yes.
But if you're not watching part 2 yet, you can just go straight to her Facebook page and her YouTube channel and view them all. Just have
you.
a binge.
Thank you.
Spiritual binge. I love that, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So thanks again for joining us. And
Thank you.
We'll put up your graphics and I'll see you on part 2.
Okay, that's great.
All right,
Thanks.
and thanks everybody for joining us today. I'm your host of Spiritual Connection. My name is Carla Augustyn, and I hope to see you on the next episode. Blessings, and thank you.